So welcome everybody to MS Views and News, to our Pilates Movement Monday class. If you would like to have your video on or off, that is up to you. And we will not need any props for today's class other than the chair that you're sitting in and the body that you've been graced with on this earth. So I want to bring awareness to your posture, to your breath. So as you're sitting here in the chair, sometimes it may feel better to kind of lean back into your chair, but I highly recommend, because it helps more with the core, to sit upright and away from the back of your chair. So maybe even closing the eyes can help you here, but think about like there's a string that's pulling you upward towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, try to pull the shoulders down away from the ears. Okay. As you inhale, think about expanding the rib cage out and away. And as you exhale, try to pull the rib cage in as if you are knitting them past each other. And continue with that same inhale, not only expanding out, but lifting up, as well as exhaling, dropping the shoulders, pulling the rib cage in. Okay. So then as we talk about like some visuals that I'm going to be like kind of throwing out there, use whichever one sticks for you. Okay. So some of the visuals are a little funny for me. So think of yourself as like a tube of toothpaste. And instead of like squeezing the toothpaste out, I want you to think about pulling the toothpaste back up and in. Okay. And that's where the pelvic floor comes into play here. So the pelvic floor is what you're sitting on right now. And it can almost be like a little basket. So if you think about pulling that pelvic floor up and in as you exhale. So that's the important thing, is as you exhale, pulling that pelvic floor up and in. And it's very important to think of it like what anatomy is down there for you. So everyone's got a butthole. So think about your butthole lifting up and in. And then as you inhale, let everything kind of relax back into your chair that you're sitting on. Okay. As you're continuing to breathe in and out, I'd like for you to breathe in through the nose and then out through the mouth. Breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And that same inhale lifts the head up, the neck long, and that exhale drops the shoulders down, pulls the rib cage in, and lifts the pelvic floor up. Remember, it feels like you're kind of lifting like toothpaste up into a tube rather than like pushing it out from underneath of you. Okay. So as we're getting started, welcome everyone who's made it to class. My name is Bri Rhea. And while you're sitting here, start to bring your hands and your fingers right to where your ribs are on your body. Okay, so I want you to feel where the bones of your ribs are. And with yourself sitting tall, I want you to start to work yourself down the rib cage and just giving yourself a little massage there. So with your fingertips working down and away from the apex or the A shape of your rib cage, and then back up again. So that you're massaging out the muscles that we're going to be using when it comes to breathing, when it comes to moving the spine, and when it comes to rotating the spine. So as you're giving yourself this little self myofascial release or self massage, then you can kind of feel like kind of pull up under the rib cage as well. Okay, so this can also help to release the diaphragm, all of the breathing muscles that we have in our body to help us breathe in those big breaths in and out. Okay, so another thing that I want you guys to be aware of is that listening to your body is more important than listening to me. So if you're working through this and you're like, no, I don't know, that kind of feels weird, just, you don't have to like dig in and up as intensely as like you would think to. It's just a nice little bit of pressure in and up, little bit of pressure in and up. Okay. And you could even like give yourself some circular motions here rather than digging in. Okay.
Is this something like a tuck and tilt?
Something like a what?
Tuck and tilt the.
Yeah, like a tuck and then you tilt it up.
Tilt. Okay.
Yeah, that's a great question. All right, so now that we're about 5 minutes in, everyone will be muted. So if you have questions, we'll ask them after class today, and then we'll get started with the workout. Okay, so now that we've got that little self-massage going, Please make sure you're listening to the body. If you have any water, have that off to the side. Listen to yourself, and we'll continue moving together. Okay, so we start with some heel lifts. So as you're lifting the heels up and down, we'll take 10 of those, and just keeping your spine lifted upright. Okay, so try to focus on the breath, still lifting and expanding the ribs out, and then pulling them back in. So that as you're lifting up and down, hands can rest by your side or onto the lap. Give me 5 more. Exhale as you lift. 4, 3, 2 more, and last one. Okay, and then from there, toe lift. So maybe walk your feet out a little further out in front of you, placing the feet flat onto the ground, and then lifting the toes up and down, up and down. So as you're doing this for about 8 more, exhale as you lift, inhale as you lower. And now it might seem like we're breathing like kind of slow here, but the emphasis is because that breath working with the core can help us and allow us to move in rhythm and synchronicity with the body. Okay, so as you're exhaling, 4 more lift, inhale, lower. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. Pulling navel to the spine, lifting that spine up nice and tall, 2, and then 1. Okay, and then 1 leg at a time. So reach 1 leg out in front of you, placing it onto the ground, and give yourself some ankle rolls, 5 in each direction. So that as you're rolling that leg around, you're getting that blood flowing down into the leg, flowing into the extremities there. And then switch directions, 5 in the opposite direction. And now as you're rolling around, you don't have to look down, because sometimes that kind of like puts that pressure into the back of the neck or into like even the airways. Switch the legs and give me 5 in the opposite direction. So that as you're rolling those ankles around, like really be focused on, concentrate on, like as if you were stirring a pot with your foot there. And then switch directions, 5 more in the other direction. Okay. And then from there, both feet stacked down in front of you. Your hands can either be on your hips or down by your side as we march 1 leg up and then down, and then march the other leg up and then down. And so the goal here, that as we do this 10 each side now, is that we're not just like letting the body lean to one side and then lean to the other. You want to stay upright and resist the urge to let those legs move the body. You are staying stable through the spine and the core as you mobilize through the legs and the hips. So it doesn't have to be a very big march. Even if you're coming off an inch away from the ground, that's still a march here, okay? And if you do like a little bit more challenge as you're doing this, reaching the arms out in front of you, maybe genie arms out to the side, are all options here to challenge more of the core. Overhead is going to be the hardest for you to reach up overhead and to maintain that wrap ribbed position as you reach up, as you march up. And now let's try for about 3 more each side. 3. Last 2 each side. 2. Final 1 each side, and 1. Okay, so then bring your arms down by the side. Give yourself some shoulder shrugs a couple times if you did reach the arms up. And then what we're going to do is leg extension. So it's going to be like a march. You have to lift 1 leg up and then extend out and then lower it back down. Lift the other leg out, reach out, and then extend or pull back in. Extend, reach, good. Lift, extend, reach. 8 more each side. And so now you can go through those same arm options. You've got genie arms, you've got arms out in front, arms out to the side, arms up overhead, and it doesn't have to be all the way overhead. It could be out in front of you, could be down in front of you. Either way, when you reach the arms away from the body, you're changing up where the center of gravity is and challenging more of where the core, or how the core has to work with us here. It also challenges the coordination of the body so that as we're moving, 3 more each side. But again, you're making sure that you're not just like reaching out and compensating by leaning over to the side. 2 more. 2. Last one each side. And 1. All right. Okay, now from there, 1 leg at a time. So we're going to do 10 on the right side first. If you want to start on the left, that works as well. With hands onto the hips so that you can focus on not moving the body or the hips. I want you to lift the marching leg up, then open out to the side. Lift it back up and move it back in. Okay, so now we're working with the hip here as you open it out and away and down. Up, out, and away, and down. And continue there, 7 more each side. Okay, and so as you're lifting that leg up and down, imagine there's like a little hurdle there for you to step your leg over. Last 3. Final 2. All about staying stable and strong through the spinal column. Last 1. And then switch over to the other side. Lift the left leg up or the other side up and over your little mouse hurdle. Okay. So, or you can think of it like it's a hot candle under your foot and you're trying not to get burned by the flames. So even with these little movements that we're doing right here, these movements, you can kind of like, if there's one that sticks with you, do it like 5 minutes every day, okay? Or 5 minutes every hour, because the movement that comes into your body, you've got about 5 more, 4 to 5 more. The movement that you're using with the body helps to create those neural pathways. 3 more so that you can keep the strength in your muscles, keep the strength from that mind to muscle connection. Last 2 and 1. All right. So now wherever you are, place your hands down onto your chair, back behind you. So you might have to like scoot your butt forward a little bit more so that you can lean into your hands. And then your legs are going to windshield wiper side to side. So this stretch, you want to feel it across the front of the hip. So as you're reaching the knees to the left side, then that right hip kind of opens up. Okay. And then as you work your way to the other side, that left hip can kind of open up there. So think just like a windshield wiper as you move it from side to side. Be focused on like where you feel the opening stretch. So some like on my left side for today, I feel it more in my inner thigh than the front of my thigh. But on the right side, I definitely feel it like outer front of my thigh. So the different sides of the body will feel different for you. Okay. All right. Now from there, bring yourself back up, seated nice and tall. So this whole time we've been working on keeping our strength in the spine. So now we're going to work on flexing and extending the spine. So there's a big difference between just like collapsing down into poor posture and then lifting back up and pushing the heart forward. So I want you to think of staying nice and tall. Lift the heart up like there's a string pulling your heart up and your gaze is following that string. So this is now your extension. This is your inhale. And then as you exhale, there's a string on the back of your heart that is pulling behind you as you look down into your lap. And you're pulling the navel towards the spine, the belly button to the spine, as your tailbone kind of curls and scoops underneath of you. Okay, so this is now your exhale. So then as you inhale, lift the string, the heart forward and look up. And then as you exhale, round the spine forward and look down. 8 more times. Inhale, open the heart and the chest. Exhale, round and open the back of your body between the shoulder blades. 7. Exhale, looking down for 5. And so now while you're there, you can even like kind of wiggle your body side to side. And that feels like a nice little opening stretch there in the back. And as you inhale and lift up, again, you can kind of shimmy the shoulders side to side. And then 5 more to round and maybe start to press the hands forward down the legs or towards the knees. And then as you inhale, pull the hands up towards the front of your hips, up the thighs. And then exhale, round 3 more times. Inhale, pull the hands back, open the chest, round forward 2. Lift the chest, last and final 1. Awesome. Okay, then start with that tall spine position, and with your arms down by your side first, just start with some wrist rolls. Okay, with those wrist rolls in one direction, think of like how not hula dancers. Well, yeah, like hula dancers or belly dancers, how they use their hands to kind of like shimmy themselves side to side. So as the arms are starting to come up, all that blood flow is rushing back and forth down to the fingers, back to the heart, and then switch directions and start to roll the hands down as your arms come back down. Yes, there you go. Okay, so now with those rolls, you're going to take it into the elbows. So think if like you had like big Pringle jars next to you, okay, and you're trying to get all of the scraping the edges of that Pringle can in one direction. Okay, or maybe like one of those like bingo cylinders, and you're trying to like swirl around that bingo cylinder, then switch directions. So now open out, rolling those arms backwards, really pulling the shoulder blades back to help open up the chest. And opening up that chest helps to pull those elbows back. So it's like chicken versus the egg. Which one came first? Elbows back to open the chest, or chest open to pull the elbows back? Okay. So starting to feel a little bit of that burn coming in. Give yourself some shoulder shrugs now, up towards the ears and down the back. And then with your hands resting onto the lap, switch directions first. So roll the shoulders forward and down. That's it. Okay, so now from there, keep your hands onto the lap, and now we work on body rolls. So everything that we're just working on to kind of bring it all together. So now imagine you're sitting in a big pot, and with your body, you're scraping the edges of that pot. So that as you're moving everything from the hips up, the hips stay stationary onto your chair. One more in this direction, and then you switch. Roll it around in the opposite direction. Okay. So you might notice that after this class, or maybe even during this class, is like where the tension is in the body as we're moving around starts to open itself up. And that's not only because of movement, that's because of also the breath. So now as you come back up to sit nice and tall, take 5 big cleansing breaths. Remember that the inhale helps you to lift up, expand out, create and push into all of that space that you have in your body, and then exhale everything back out again. 4 more big inhales, and then exhale. Inhale and exhale. Into the nose, 2 more. Think if you could clean the insides of your body. Exhale. 1 more inhale. And then final exhale. Awesome. Okay, so now side body reaches. So I want you to start with the hands across the chest. If that doesn't feel good, just leave them down by the sides, okay? So it's like we're reaching with the shoulders, or the tips of your shoulders, as you reach your body from side to side. So exhale, inhale, center. Exhale to one side, inhale, center. As you lean to one side, I want you to try to keep your spine up nice and tall. So it's not quite a side bend. We'll get there, but try to reach out from head to hip and keep the hip that you're reaching away from anchored onto your chair. 4 more each side, and keep the feet flat onto the ground as well. It's okay if they lift up, but the goal here is to keep them flat and anchored onto that earth there. Okay, now you keep going and try to reach the elbows out to the side. So now it's like you're holding or about to like fist bump yourself. hands in front of the armpits. And so what we've done is we've just lengthened out the lever here. So it might feel a little bit more difficult as you're leaning from one side to the next. Now try it with the arms out to the side. And now you have those 3 different options here. So we'll get into this as we move through the class for today. The closer your hands are to the heart, the easier a movement will be. The further your hands or legs are away from the center of the body, the harder it will be. So as you're reaching and then coming through center and then reaching to one side, notice how much more challenging this has become. Okay, so now bring the hands back across the chest if that felt good for the body. I'm going to show you from the side here. Feet are planted. Inhale to prepare, and as you exhale, rotate to one side. Inhale back center, and exhale, rotate to the other side. And inhale back center. And then repeat that 9 each side. 9. And so as we count down from 10, you have all of those 3 different movements or 3 different options to go through this movement. So if you want a little bit more challenge, elbows out to the side. If you want a little bit more challenge from there, arms out to the side, like airplane arms, okay? And so as I offered up at the beginning of the class, if you would like even more challenge, this is where you can like hold weights, water bottles or soup cans in your hands, or even like pulling a band across your chest will allow a lot more challenge through those shoulders, through that upper body workout here that we're doing. So the workout is not just in the arms, holding them out to the side, but also in the obliques of the core, pulling the belly button in. Think about lifting the toothpaste up into the tube of your torso for 2 more. Last one to the left. And final one to the right. And then bring your hands down by your side. Give yourself a couple of shoulder rolls. This time alternating from one side to the next. Okay. Forward and then back, or back and then forward. Alrighty. Okay, so now as we work our way up the spine, so now it comes to the neck here. Okay, so just be very careful when it comes to the neck rolls, like when you bring your left ear to your left shoulder, and then you can come back up through that tall neck and then right ear to right shoulder. If you know that your spine or your neck feels okay to roll the chin forward, what you can do is bring left ear to left shoulder, roll the chin forward towards the chest, and then bring your right ear to your right shoulder. And then go back the same way you came, chin to chest, ear to shoulder. Chin to chest, ear to shoulder. Chin to chest, ear to shoulder. Let's do that one more time. Chin to chest, and ear to shoulder, so that when you stack that neck up nice and tall, now we work on our rotation. So we just worked on the side bends. So now rotate, look to the left. It's like you're saying a slow motion no, and then to the right. Inhale, center, exhale, left. Inhale, center, exhale, right. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And try to let the exhale from the mouth be from the back of the throat. And the reason why is because that deep guttural, like sigh out, helps you connect deep to the core. All right, one more to the right. Make sure you're even on both sides. Okay. And then from there, bring your arms up. Okay, like we're ready for a fight here. So fists up in front of the shoulders. First, we're just going to punch out in front of us, then bring it back in. Punch the other arm out in front of you and then bring it back in. But now while you're punching, I want you to not just like reach the arm out and be like, oh, this is so easy. Instead, think of like there's quicksand in front of you, or like 4 different walls. You have to like push, not punch your hand through, but push your arm through and pull it back in. Meanwhile, the other arm is really trying to like hold itself in place and resisting the urge to just like pow forward. Okay, so move slowly as if there's another fist that's like that you're like punching against and then pulling back against, punch against, and then pull back against. Okay, and then you keep going with those punches, but this time come across the body. Again, working through rotation, through those obliques. As you rotate though, focus on what the hips and the legs are doing, which should be nothing. We don't want the legs to move with us here. Okay, instead keep the hips and the knees laser focused forward as you rotate the belly button, the heart, the shoulders, the head, the hands, all across the body there, working with your body to punch and then pull back into position. All right, now from there, I want you to start to punch up and across the body. If coming across the body gives you any sort of issues in the shoulders or the neck or the chest, you can also just punch up. Okay, so those are your options there, punching up or across. 3 more each side, pulling back down as if you're reaching for something and then pulling it back into the body. 2, last one each side, and 1. Awesome. Okay, then lower the arms down by your side and flat palms back behind you. So how far can you pull the arms back without compromising the spine position? So without leaning forward, without pulling the heart forward or popping the ribs forward. Instead, keep those ribs wrapped, tailbone heavy into the chair. And then as you inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, pull the arms back. Inhale, reach, and exhale, pull. Reaching and pulling for 8 more. Okay, so what you should be feeling is probably like a nice chest opening stretch as those arms go back, really making sure that you're not rounding the body forward as those arms go back, but instead resisting the urge to lean forward and lifting, lifting, lifting up as you push back. Yes, think about like if you were swimming through a pool, moving through that quicksand again. 4 more. 3. Staying upright. 2. And then last 1. Awesome. Now with your hands down onto your lap, we're going to work into a position called C curve in Pilates. So imagine that your spine is turning from the letter I into the letter C. Okay. So just like we worked on in the warm up, where we're not like rounding into bad posture, but it's really that your core is helping to pull you into that C curve position. So if someone's trying to like poke you in the belly, like pull the belly away from that finger, like don't touch me. Okay, scooping that tailbone underneath of you and keeping the feet heavy onto the earth. So in that C curve position, hands are onto the lap there. I want you then to hold that C curve and start to lift the arms up as high as it feels comfortable and then lower back down, touching the lap and then lifting up and lowering down. Okay, so we got 8 more there. You might notice that like if you have a back on your chair, you can kind of scoot your butt forward and just barely touch the chair. I don't want you leaning back into it, but barely touch the chair. So that as you're lifting and lowering those arms up and down, however high they go, that will increase the resistance or the challenge that you have here. So 4. Now you're going to hold those arms up overhead in 3, up to your height that feels good for the body. 2, and then the last 1. So now with the arms up overhead, I want you then to open the arms out to the side, lifting back up and then pulling back across, lifting up and pulling out, reaching and pulling. So now as you're holding this C curve position, think about again that pelvic floor lifting up. If the muscles that you're sitting on could lift away from that chair, what would that feel like? Like you're trying to pull something up inside of you. If you're a tube of toothpaste, try to pull and pull that toothpaste back up and in. 3 more. Holding that C curve. Remember, the lower you go back and down, the more challenge you will have. 2. And then hold the arms open out to the side. Last 1, you're still in that C curve. And now airplane the arms out to the side, to the left. Inhale, come back center. Exhale to the right. And then inhale, come back center. So as you're going down from side to side, okay, You have the option to bring the arms to like your hands to the armpits if it feels too challenging, or even across the body as you rotate from side to side. Okay, so listening to your body is what takes precedent here. As we're rotating, it's almost like a Russian twist here. Okay, if we were on the ground and then it's twisting from side to side. 3 more. 3. Good. You have the option there. Those arms out to the side still. Challenge yourself. 2 more. Last 1 and 1. Okay, then come back up, hands onto the knees, and pull the heart forward, lift the gaze up, and try to draw the shoulders down. And then as you exhale, try to slide the hands down the shins like you're reaching down to touch something or pick something up off the ground. And while you're there, you can just kind of like shake your head, no and yes a couple times. And then roll and stack the spine up tall again. Okay, so probably feeling like a pretty strong, deep core burn there after all of those movements. So now what we're going to do is a little bit of like isolation to the left side. So I'm going to turn myself to the side here so that as we're C curving low, so let's start with the hands in front of the chest. Okay, so as you find your C curve position, so it's like there's like an invisible beach ball in front of you, and you've just created that like shape of the beach ball with your body. Okay, and now as you're lifting just the left leg up into your marching, so all of our warm-ups, we do it all for a reason here. It's that marching of just the left leg for 7 more. 6, 5. Okay, and if you can't hold that C curve without moving the body back and forth, try to stay just lifted upright and working on those marches like we did at the beginning of the class. 3 more. Otherwise, you're holding that C curve. 2 more, and then hold that lift of the leg. If you can't hold that lift, maybe just lift the heel, okay? But as you're holding that lift, now rotate to the left, and then come back through center. Rotate to the left, and then come back through center. You've got 8 more of those. 7. If holding that leg lifted feels a little too challenging, you can lower it down each time you look center and then lift back up as you twist to the left. 5 more, halfway there. 4. Remember your options to make it more challenging, elbows out to the side or even arms out to the side. 3, 2, and then final 1. All right, so now come back up. If your hip felt most of the grip there in that movement, then that's like an indication that strengthening the core is like a good remedy for you to work on that strength. So if you do feel it mostly in the hip, I want you to lean the hands back, that stretch that we took at the beginning of the class, and pull both legs to the right side. Okay, and you can kind of lean back into your hands to allow that front hip to open up, and then to even bring it 1 notch further with that stretch, your left arm lifts up and over to the side, off to the right. So now it's basically all of that left side of your body from all the way the knee through the hip up to the left fingertips are stretching out from each other. And then you bring yourself back into that position. So now we can work through the other side. Okay, so rotating, so I can twist to the right. See everyone with the hands across the chest. Start with the spine tall to inhale, prepare. And then as you exhale, pull navel to the spine, scoop that tailbone forward, pull the pelvic floor up and in, and then wrap the rib cage like you're wearing just a big belt buckle, and you're just like pull yourself in. Lift and lower that right leg. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. 6, 5, 4. We stabilize from everything, hips up as we mobilize through just that right hip. 2 more. Last 1, hold that lift, and now you rotate to the right. Inhale, center, rotate to the right. So now as you're rotating, you have those options, elbows out to the side. You also have the option to lower the leg down each time you come center, or your arms come out to the side. You can do a little hybrid of coming center, pulling the arms in, reaching out, pulling the arms out. Okay, you've got plenty of options here as we turn up the heat, as we turn up the furnace of our core. Last two. And final one. Bring yourself all the way back up, hands onto the knees. Give yourself a little cat and cow. And then from there, if you did feel anything in that right hip gripping, you have the option to pull yourself forward, lean back into the hands, open the feet wide, and then drop that right knee down, pull both knees towards the left, okay? And I like to kind of like roll onto the top of my foot because it does elicit a bigger stretch there. So you have that option then to reach that right arm up overhead and really try to push the right knee down towards the ground as your right hand reaches up and away. Oh, feels so good. All right. Perfect. Okay. Now from there, what we're going to do is work into our hinge back. Okay. So a hinge back is where we keep that nice straight spine position, or that postural, that good posture of our spine, and hinging back and forth. Okay. So just think down to the south of your compass and then to the north side of your compass. Okay. So from there, your hands just kind of like glide along the thighs, and then you come forward. Back on your exhale, inhale forward. Exhale, pulling everything in, connecting to that deep core, and then pulling everything up as well as you lean back. So think of like that string that's pulling your head up towards the ceiling, and then let that string pull you to where the wall and the ceiling meet. 4 more. Exhale. Inhale. Last 3. Yeah, and if you have a back on your chair, maybe touching the back of your chair is where you end, and then come back up, or when you're barely touching it. Final 1, and then you come back up. Okay, so now where you are is right in the middle of your compass. So these are called compass hinges. Okay, so now we go back south to the right or east, come forward to your north, and then to the left for your west. Okay, so here it is from the front. South, east, north, and west. Then back again. South, east, north, then west. Now try it without the hands, across the chest. South, east, north, and west. As you're doing these, we got 2 more in this direction. Try to keep both sits bones down onto the ground or onto your chair. Okay. You have the option then, elbows out to the side, east, north, and west. Okay. Then when you come back up, we switch directions. So now from there, we go west, north, east, and south. If you want some more challenge, arms out to the side, lean forward, reach to the east, and then south, and repeat that 3 more times. Really trying to hold for just like a microsecond. We'll get into our holds in just a moment, but when we hold these positions, what we're doing is you're challenging the core to be able to maintain that position rather than just like collapsing and being like, oh, I can't hold this. Okay, I'm gonna collapse. No, don't do that. 1 more time. West, north, east, and south. Bring the hands back down if they're out to the side. Give yourself some shoulder shrugs, and even like moving the body around into that pot, like we were stirring up the pot. So now just moving from like east, north, south, west, very smooth and seamless there. Good, you guys are doing great. And then rolling yourself around in the opposite direction. Okay. Now, with those hinge backs that we just did, we're going to add the arms to the movement here. If you were already adding the arms, good job on you, but now we're going to be reaching forward. So with your hinge back, I want your arms to also reach back behind you. As you inhale, reach the arms forward. Okay, think like Superman flying through the sky. And notice how heavy your feet are when you do reach forward. As you exhale, pull the hands back, lean back. And then hold. Then inhale, reach forward, hold forward for 2, 1, and then pull back, hold back, 2, 1. Reach forward, 7 more, 2, 1, pull back, reach back, 2, 1, forward, inhale, 2, 1, exhale, back, 2, 1, 5 more, 4 more, pulling the chest open as those arms go back, last 3, and keeping yourself from collapsing the shoulders forward as you reach forward, 2 more, reach, 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 last 1, and then pull back, hinge back, and then bring hands back to the knees, give yourself a couple of cat and cows, maybe some shoulder rolls, shoulder shrugs, okay? All righty. Now with our side bends, you have some options now. So instead of a hinge, where we're leaning off to one side, I would like you to collapse, not collapse, but like control and engage one side of your body as the other side lengthens, okay? So hands across the chest as you're turning into like a slinky there. So lift the slinky up, and then the slinky goes down the stairs to the right. Inhale, lift. And then exhale to the left. And so we still have those same options with your arms. Elbows reach down, and then you lift back up. Try it if you're switching the arms to do 1 in each direction. And then if you'd like more progress, you reach the arms out to the side where you're trying to touch the ground or touch the leg of your chair as you reach up and overhead. Yes. 3 more. Last 2. Awesome job, guys. And then final 1 to the right, and last 1 to the left. All right, and then when you come back up, give yourself again those cat and cows, rounding through the shoulders, flexing through the spine. Your cow spine is where you extend the heart up, look up, pull the shoulders back, and inhale. And repeat that a couple more times. You can add your own little twist or dance there to it, okay? But now as we come back to our punches, your arms are back up in front of the shoulders, getting ready for a fight here, okay? So as we're using the hinge or your C curve, so now figure out which spinal position felt better for your body. Remember, your C curve is where you're pulling everything back and in, okay, as you punch forward. Yeah, if you're hinging back, your spine stays straight as you punch forward, okay? So now as you exhale, punch forward, hinge or C curve back. I'm going to go with a C curve for my body. And as you're punching forward, it's just right out in front of that shoulder, okay? We're not punching across the body just yet. Okay, then I want you to do 4 more each side. So where you're C curving, holding that arm forward, 3, 2, 1, coming back up and then repeating, 3, hold, 2, 1, coming back up, pulling in, 3 more, 3, 2, 1, come up, 3 more on the left, 3, 2, 1. As you're reaching forward with that arm, imagine that you're still trying to like punch through something. 2 more on the left. Last one on the right. Now hold this one, the right arm lifts and you're in that C curve or hinge back. But now with those fingertips reaching forward, I want you to lift the left leg up, and that's going to be the next layer here. Okay, so then as you come forward, pull your punch back in, left arm punches forward and right leg lifts. Okay, so it's alternate arm, alternate leg. Okay, so we're going to keep punching. This time we come across the body as your left leg lifts, right arm reaches. Come back up. Left arm reaches, right leg lifts. And then come back up. So here's what it looks like from the side. It's a rotation and a twist as you punch and march. Come back up, punch and twist, and then reach back up. As you're continuing from one side to the next, we've got 6 more. It's almost like you're trying to like touch the outside of your leg. If you can touch it, give yourself a little pat on the side of the knee. Good job. 4 more each side. 3 more. And so believe it or not, even though we're seated, 2 more. What this is working on is balance. So anytime you lose your balance, whether you're seated or standing, you sort of feel that equilibrium kind of lose its way. Okay, so when you're leaning back and then you can catch yourself and lean back forward, then you can start to build up that strength. So now from there, give yourself a couple of like open and closes with the legs. Opening up the hips. Nice job, you guys, okay? And now we're gonna leave the feet still hip distance apart with both hands together now. So you can either interlace the fingers or maybe like Charlie's Angel yourself, so that as we're moving, we're going for our wood choppers. Start to the right, okay? So then as you exhale, shoot the arms up towards the left, and then inhale back down to the side. Exhale, up to the left, inhale back down to the side. So if you have any sort of pain or tension in the shoulders or the neck coming across the body here, what you can do is just one arm down and then up. The other arm can stay down by your side. If one arm is giving you any issues, move the arm that doesn't, okay? So as you're going through, down and up, 4 more. Feel how those obliques that help you to rotate around are helping with that twist. Last 2 and final 1. Then you bring your hands down to the left side. Take an inhale to prepare, and as you exhale, watch where the hands go to the right and then come back down. As you're rotating by twisting the head and neck with the hands, the arms, the torso, you're creating more of that rotation. All the way up through the spine, like you're wringing out a towel. 5 more. Nice job, you guys, good. 4, yep, down to the left, up to the right. 3, 2, and 1. All right, hands back onto the knees. Give yourself, like, after we've gone through all of these stretches, like, figure out what your body needs. Does it need some of those shoulder shrugs? Does it need some of those cat and cows? What about some of those hip openers where you can walk your booty forward onto your chair and kind of windshield wiper the legs side to side, okay? Opening up through the front of the hips. Yeah, those wood choppers are pretty challenging. So remember that all of these movements that we're doing in this hour-long class, you can break up your day and do 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. And research has shown that, like, if you can break up your movements throughout the day, it's just as beneficial if you did like an hour stint or block of a workout, okay? So now from here, hands across the chest, we're gonna reach forward before we come down into our stretches to finish up class. So hands across the chest, feet a little wider than hip distance apart here. So you've got some room to lean forward. As you exhale, lean forward like you're looking over a wishing well to see if your wish just came true, and then lift back up, inhale. Exhale, forward, and inhale up, okay? So that's level 1. If you want to keep the hands right here on the chest, please do so. Otherwise, hands come in front of the armpits, elbows out to the side. Okay, so as you're doing that, what that does is it just makes more of a like longer, heavier torso for you to control the movement with. Your next option, level 3, is reaching the arms out to the side and keeping that extension of the arms out to the side, pulling the shoulders back as you lean forward, and then push into the feet as you lift back up. 4 more. Last 3. That's it. Good job. Good job. 2. Here we go. And then here's your last one. Now hold here. Remember, if you need to, you bring the elbows back to a bend or your arms across the chest if your shoulders are starting to get a little heavy. Okay. As you're holding here, continue breathing. And then what we're going to do is lift back up. Okay. So we're going to add rotation to that hinge forward. So it's going to look like this. We're going to hinge forward and then lean to the right. Then you come back through center and lift back up. Come forward, lean to the left, come back through center and lift back up. Okay, you have those options now. Elbows out to the side, go to the right, center, back up again. Go forward to the left, center, come back up again. Remember, now you've got your arms out to the side. All of these options here, of course, are optional, but I'm giving you these options so that you can explore your body, explore the movement for what feels best for you. 2 more to the right and 2 more to the left. Okay, so by holding yourself out there, like kind of like in that airspace, what you're doing is helping to isolate the extensor back muscles while still controlling through the core. Last one to the right. Heavy through the feet, then center. And then final one to the left. And then you come back through center and lift back up. Hands onto the thighs. Give yourself whatever the body may be asking for when it comes to stretching out, releasing any tension of the body. And your feet are back to hip distance apart. All right. Good job today, guys. So now left hand to the right thigh. Your right hand comes down to the chair underneath of you. So we're getting ready for a little twist. So each inhale, lift the spine up taller, and each exhale, push into that left hand and try to twist yourself out just a little bit more. 3 more big inhales. Exhale to twist. 2 more, inhale, lifting. Exhaling to twist. And then last one, try to look out over that back shoulder, get into that neck stretch, and then twist. And then as you slowly come through center, your right hand comes to your left leg, your left hand comes behind you, and then rotate to the left as you stay focused on that left shoulder or trying to look out past that left shoulder. 2 more big breaths. Last one. Good, and then just carefully bring yourself back through center. Okay, so now I recommend kind of scooching yourself off to the right side of your chair so that your left hand can come down onto the seat edge of your chair with your right hand up, and you're like, it's okay if your leg is kind of hanging off of the edge. That's kind of what we want. So if you do have that space to where your hip can hang off the edge, give yourself permission, like relax that hip down. So your pelvis is kind of rocking to the right. And then with that right arm reaching up overhead, try to still think about that pelvis, that right side of your leg reaching down towards the ground. So we take that nice side body stretch. And if reaching up overhead feels uncomfortable, your hand can come to the shoulder, maybe across the chest. Okay, or even just staying down by the side. You'll still get that side body stretch, but those are all options for you here. Okay, and then lift yourself back up. Then from there, we want to twist ourselves towards the left. So now your right knee can drop down. Okay, so that you're in that lunge position again. Okay, so just like we've been working on to rotate the legs towards the left, and I've got the top of my foot onto the earth. So then that right arm can reach up overhead. And as that right arm is reaching, try to slide your right leg back behind you. And so the more that that right leg slides behind you, can you gently press the top of your foot, or if your toes are tucked, down into the ground to really feel that stretch coming through the thigh, the front of the hip on the right side, and all the way up the right side of your body into the rib cage, into the armpit. And so now as you come back towards center, go ahead and scoot yourself over towards the left side of your seat, okay? Where your right hand stays down onto the chair. You want to try to sink that left cheek down towards the ground as your left arm either reaches up and your right arm will bend a little bit. Okay, and this side's a way looser for me, so I can even like bring myself onto my forearm onto the chair there. Okay. Or remember, you have the option to just hold onto the shoulder, bring it across the chest, or leave the arm down by your side. But just focusing on that stretch you feel from the hip to the rib. And then as you lift the spine back up, walk the right foot towards the right, and then drop that left knee down into your lunge position there. Whether the toes are tucked or untucked, that's a preference for your body. As you lift your left arm up and over to the side, try to drop your left knee down and slide your left foot back behind you. Breathe into that stretch. One more inhale. And then final exhale. And then bring yourself all the way back center. Okay, giving your legs a little wobble from side to side or open and close. Okay, and then your left ankle onto your right thigh. So we're coming into like a piriformis stretch to help open up those glutes there. And with your left arm onto that thigh or elbow, or thigh or knee, the elbows onto that thigh, kind of just lean forward like you're leaning in for a good story. Okay. If you want a little extra there, you can roll the left ankle around a couple times, and you don't even have to like do it on your own. You can even use your hand to roll that ankle around. Okay, in one direction and then the next. Okay, and then we're going to take that same foot, that same left leg out in front of us, and you might have to scoot forward with your bottom all the way to the edge of your chair, and with that leg staying long, pull the toes up towards the nose, and then reach forward with your left arm as your right hand stays onto the thigh for balance. So getting into that hamstring stretch there. It's like you're bowing down to kiss the knees or the thighs with the face there. And now keeping the focus on, yes, where you feel the stretch. Is it in the hamstring? Maybe it's in the low back, but can you feel how, like if you pull the navel up and in, that will help to increase the stretch of the low back. And then when you're ready, you're gonna push into the right foot, the foot that's pushing into the ground, and lift yourself back up again, okay? When you're there, place the left foot underneath of you, right ankle to left thigh, and then with that right elbow, gently press into the right thigh. Lean in for that really good story again and give yourself those ankle rolls. One direction. And then the next. Remember, you don't have to do the ankle rolls on your own. You can give yourself some help there with the hand, rolling that ankle around. Great, so now that same leg, right leg goes out in front of you, toes towards the nose. You might have to scoot your bottom forward so you're not getting any like pinch on the edge of the chair. With your right arm reaching forward, left arm onto the thigh, lean forward and down over those legs and try to pull the navel up and in as you feel the stretch coming up the right thigh on the back side, as well as the spine of the back body. Okay, so this is very similar to in Pilates, we call a spine stretch. Yes, you'll feel it in the hamstrings, but the goal is to keep the core active so that you can open up the spine as well. Soften the shoulders down away from the ears and try to feel the top of your head pulling towards the toes as well. So you get that whole length up through the top of your head from the tip of the tailbone. And then when you're ready, push into the left foot to lift yourself up, to push yourself away from the earth and bring yourself back upright, nice and tall. And now with the arms out to the side, give yourself a big hug, right arm over left, okay? And holding that hug there, so grabbing behind the body and then rolling yourself forward on your exhale, lifting back up, inhale. And as you lift up, try to lift your elbows away from the chest. Exhale, 2 more times, forward and down. Inhale, lift up and away. And then last time. And lift. And then when you stack the spine tall, open the arms, go for that big hug, and then give yourself a big hug with the alternate arm on top. 3 more times. Down and up. Exhaling, inhaling. Exhaling 2. Inhaling. And then final 1. And lift. Awesome. Okay, so now same way that we began the class for today, we're going to end it the same way. So find the top part of like the apex of your rib cage and start to give yourself that tuck and curl grip. Okay, so with the fingertips, you create that little C curve or that C curve of the hands, pull up and in and give yourself that release of the core, the breathing muscles that we just used for the whole class for today. So with this self massage that we're giving ourselves here, what you're doing is then helping to release any tension that those muscles still might be holding on to, okay? Soften the shoulders, bring them down away from the ears. Good, and you can even like one and then the other. You don't have to do both at the same time. You can do right side, then left side, then right side, then left side. Awesome job today, guys. Okay, and then the last one, hands behind the hips. So they're right at that top part of the hips, not behind the rib cage, but the top part of your hips. And then pull the elbows back so you open up more of the chest, and then lift the chest up and bring the gaze up. And then just open up that part of the rib cage we were just giving a nice massage to. Breathe into that space, and then as you exhale, try to pull it back together. And start to reach or lean forward, lifting up. Alrighty, guys, that is our time for today. So give yourself a round of applause for completing this exercise. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you guys again next month. Awesome job.